Hello everyone, it's Petko Aleksandrov, and in this video I will share with you how I personally use AI Studio for creating strategies for the Bitcoin, and then you will see how easily it is to automate them with one click for trading on MetaTrader with robots. Okay, so basically we have two options in AI Studio. One is to generate strategies using the historical data that we have prepared, and two is to build the strategy. So if you have a strategy for any trading asset, let's say the Bitcoin, and you have your rules for the strategy, you can add them here. For example, I can add a rule. Let's pick any of the indicators, RVI, or let's take the RVI signal. And for RVI signal, we have a few entry rules. RVI line crosses the signal line upwards, crosses the signal line downward, is higher than the signal line, is lower than the signal line. I will select RVI line crosses the signal line upward, the first one on the top. And I click on accept, and you see that I have a balance chart immediately, which is obviously losing, but we cannot have a strategy just based on one indicator. The best results are coming when we combine indicators. So that's why I will add as well an exit condition. And let's grab now the RSI, which is one of the most popular indicators in trading. And again, we have a few options, actually more here. RSI rises, falls, is higher than the level line, is lower than the level line, crosses, changes, and the one I will be using is crosses the level line downward, this one right here. And I click on accept, and look at that, we already have a profitable strategy. That's the balance chart. So the account starts here at 10,000. This is how it is set in tools and settings. You can change that. I will show the settings a little bit later, but you will see that already from two indicators I have a balance chart. And the best thing is that I see it at the moment. I don't need to test this strategy on MetaTrader, but I see the back test straight away right after adding the indicators. Okay, and I can play a lot with this strategy to improve it. So for example, the RVI period, I can increase it to 20. Let's see if that will be better. Not really. I will go to 30. Okay, that's a little bit better, but you see a huge drawdown at the middle. I will go to 40. No, not really. Okay, let's change the RSI. I will increase the level line, for example, to 40, and the period I will go to 30. Click on accept. Not really. Okay, let me decrease a little bit the period, and I will increase a little bit the level. I click on accept. That improved a little bit. Now I will start increasing as well the RVI. I click on accept. Let's go to 3. Accept. Oh, here we have much better results. Okay, so you see that I have hundreds of options actually for parameters, and especially if I use a few indicators. It is really hard if you don't have such a strategy builder or such a software to find out which are the right parameters for the strategies. Okay, and the good thing here, immediately right after we do a change, we see the result. Let me try increasing it one more time. Now I think with 43 it has much smoother equity line. Okay, as well we have backtest outputs. So net profit 2,599 for the tested period. So the data starts from the 23rd of May 2017, and it is until December 2020. And we have profit per day $2, but actually that is trading with 0.1. Okay, if I increase it, for example, with one lot, and I click on accept, you will see the same equity line. This doesn't change the strategy, but it changes the result. Okay, As well, you can add stop loss and take profit if you want to. And of course, you can decrease the lot to 0.01. It depends on the amount you are starting with. But one more time, this doesn't change the strategy. It's the same equity because we have the same rules for the strategy. So it really depends with how much you are starting and how many strategies or expert advisors you will be trading with. So once you're ready, here is the magic. In the upper right hand corner, you can see expert advisor. If I click on it, I have the option to export this strategy as expert advisor for MT4 or for MT5. Let's click on MT4. Immediately I have the code exported, and that is the ready to use expert advisor. Here is the code. So if you are a developer, you can, I guess, change something, modify, improve, or remove something. I personally do not touch anything in the code because I'm not a developer. I don't know how to do it. In the past, I used to hire developers to automate my strategies, but it was a very hard process because it is expensive to hire such developers. These guys take a lot of money. And second of all, it was taking a lot of time. Okay, such a strategy at that time, that was about 4 years ago, I think, I was paying over $100 for such a simple strategy with 2 indicators inside. And then there was always a problem with the strategy, with the code. So I had to send it back to the developers and they were sending me the fixed version. And sometimes it was taking a few months to have a final version of the strategy. But even the expert advisor was complete, I didn't have that type of statistic. Okay, backtest output, balance chart, indicator chart. You can do a backtest on MetaTrader, by the way, but we don't have so many details. For example, if I click on the indicator chart, you can see exactly where every trade was opened and where every trade was closed. Okay, so one more time, the entry rule is the RVI line crosses the signal line upward. This is when we want to buy, and when we want to sell, it will be the opposite thing. And for the buy, the exit is RSI crosses the level line downward, right? So if I click one more time on the indicator chart, you can see that I have the sell trade right after the RVI crosses the signal line downward. In this case, that's why I have a sell trade. Here I have a buy. The RVI crosses the signal line upward. Here it is. All right, so we can see very clearly where all trades were opened and closed. And by using this software long enough, this gave me a great experience and knowledge about how the expert advisors actually work when they open trades. And the bad thing with MetaTrader, when you are looking at the indicators, they are repeating. Okay, so sometimes you might not see a cross. I'm not sure if I will be able to give you an example here, but sometimes there is no cross, like over here. For example, it looks like the lines are just touching, and it's really hard to say, are they crossing or they didn't cross? And when the price changes, the cross might not be visual, but the strategy builder knows that precisely because we have all these values of bar opening, closing, high and low, which we said comes from the historical data that we have imported. Okay, so there is no mistake here what happened. It's 100% accuracy, and actually that is something that is not possible for the human to recognize and to calculate. And one more time, there are hundreds of trades. For example, with this strategy, 506 trades executed for the tested period. So imagine if you have to go through MetaTrader or any other platform to put indicators and to follow, okay, here I will buy, where will be my exit, where the RVI crosses. Will you see it? Look how close are the 45 and 55 levels in this case, right? And then this is my next entry. Where is my exit? What happened? Am I buying? So for example, if you are selling here and if you start from that moment, Are you selling? Do you know if there is no trade already opened at this moment? You don't know that, right? We don't know. I don't know personally, even I have a lot of experience. I know that if I go through the charts and try to look for the trades, it's wrong. It's a mistake. Many people do it, but it will mislead you with the results. The only way to do it is with the backtest, such as this one with AI Studio. There are other softwares like Forex Strategy Builder Professional, and one more time, MetaTrader has a backtest, but it's not that reliable as the one that we have over here. Okay, we have the balance chart where we see exactly the balance for this strategy. We have the journal where we see all trades that opened and closed for that period of time. We have a lot of statistical information. Okay, balance chart, count of entries by weekdays, profit and loss, backtest output. It's a lot of information that you can find below, and that shows a lot more about the strategies. Alright, so this is how you can build your own strategy in AI Studio, and you can export it as a robot for MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5. And in the next video, I will show you how I'm using the generator, and you will see that even if you don't have such a strategy and you don't know how to build a strategy, you can use the generator, which will produce you hundreds of strategies based on the historical data that you have prepared. And if you don't have historical data, if you don't know from where to start, you can go just straight away with the premium data, which is the same data that I'm using. All I did is I changed the spread, the swap, to make it work for Hot Forex, the broker that I'm using at the moment for Bitcoin trading. Okay, so I will see you right in the next video where you'll see the generation process. And if you enjoyed that video, thumbs up and go ahead with the next video. Cheers!